Yes, I can help. But first I need something from you. No. Put your money away. I just need someone to watch my video. Sure.
This is Fallout, A Tale of Two Wastelands, the mod that takes Obsidian's imperfect masterpiece, Fallout New Vegas, and merges it with Bethesda's only good Fallout game. What's great about these games is the level of player freedom. You can play in almost any fashion you see fit. Be you a smooth-talking gunslinger, or a cunning stealth artillery, your choice is catered to. My choice is a cold-blooded murder hobo. The rules for my playthrough are simple. If I meet a character, friendly or otherwise, I have to shoot them. Bethesda clearly didn't want anyone to play this way, because they made every other character in Fallout 3 essential, meaning they cannot be killed. But we'll see how far we can get in spite of this. So without further ado, I am born kicking and screaming into the arms of Liam Neeson. After which I have to make my character. Ah, perfection. As a baby, we can't do much to attack. So I fill out my special stats seemingly at random, before Qui-Gon Jinn returns. I tried to inflict damage to Aslan using this ball and the janky physics engine, but to no avail.
As far as I can tell, you're a perfectly healthy 16-year-old boy.
As a teenager, I was only slightly more aggressive than the average angst-ridden proto-adult, so my intermittent explosive disorder went undetected throughout my youth. Besides, most of my fellow residents thought Butch had it coming. One day though, I completely snapped after I was rudely awoken by the overseer's daughter. She tried to tell me something important, but I was too pissed off from being awoken from my beauty sleep. I had had enough. I was getting out of this vault, even if it killed everyone. Butch was one of the first to go. I wasn't leaving without showing him the meaning of infinity. I also tried to destroy Andy, the robot that ruined my cake at my 10th birthday. But he got away. I can't say the same for the other residents though. All those vault dwellers, lost in time like tears in the rain. This guy thought he was safe to chat shit from behind this window, but you know the saying, chat shit get banged. After dealing with 101's finest, I decapitated the overseer with a bullet somehow, and showed his head to Amata, who was less than impressed.
My God, get away from me! I can't talk to you right now.
I'd had my fun, it was time for me to escape. I finally made it to the vault door. I waited for the door to open and the boys in blue to burst in and end my escape, but luckily they didn't send the armed response unit, so I was able to overpower them. I said my final goodbye to Amata, and escaped Vault 101.
And so it was that the lone wanderer ventured forth from Vault 101, intent on discovering the fate of a father who had once sacrificed the future of humanity for that of his only child.
I was blinded by the Wasteland sun for the first time, and looked upon the expanse of freedom and opportunity that was modern America, before the courier's stash popped up and ruined my immersion. Of course I enabled all for the easy starting gear and set out into the capital wasteland. I followed the signs to Megaton, and outside the town was a merchant caravan. I traded some 9mm ammo and got some grenades in return. My explosive skill was pretty low though, so I just gave them back. The last guy was haggling hard, and he managed to swindle me out of some shotgun shells. I was pissed off, but they offered me a full refund. Then I killed their pack Brahmin. Then I entered Megaton, an interesting town full of interesting characters, like this guy with no head. Jericho came running at me, armed only with a board and a nail, even though I was shooting at him with a grenade launcher. Jericho had balls. Had.
Now this is a fight.
Next I entered the saloon to pick the brains of Moriarty and the patrons. I thought surely one of them could help me hunt down the Neeson. Mr. Burke was just sat there cool as a cazador. He knew VATS was shit, and he was right. Unfortunately for him, I had also studied the blade. On his body, he had a suppressor mod for the 10mm pistol. I added it to my weathered 10mm from the courier's stash. Due to a bug, it makes the gun quiet but doesn't change the appearance, which is cool. Since everyone was gone, I decided to steal some booze from the bar, but Nova came back and caught me. I was able to convince her not to grass me up though. Moriarty's computer had some interesting stuff on it, including the whereabouts of my father, Ra's al Ghul. Before heading out to find him, I stopped by Moira's for some supplies. Nah, not really. On the way past Super Duper Mart, I was accosted by 3 bounty hunters. I was surprised to see them this early, considering I'd only left the vault about half an hour ago. On the way to the DC Metro, I spotted some raiders fighting with some mutants. Like a good Samaritan, I stepped in to intervene. Some passing Brotherhood outcasts also jumped in to help, but because I'm playing an evil character, I decided to kill them, since no good deed should go unpunished. I thought I'd bitten off more than I could chew, but my greed pushed me forward. I wanted that plasma rifle. It was now dark and I had forgotten about the super mutants across the river. They hadn't forgotten about me though. We got into an impromptu rap battle, but they were spitting pure fire. Refusing to back down, I conjured all the spaghetti my mom had ever made and blew their minds. I then hopped on the subway to Galaxy News Radio. I got off the train at about dawn, about a block away from GNR, but downtown DC was crawling with super mutants, and worse, the Brotherhood of Steel. Bethesda made all these guys essential, which was the first big problem of the run. Fighting them was a waste of time and ammo, so I tried running past them and getting to the GNR plaza, but when I arrived I couldn't simply enter the building. Eventually the Behemoth showed up. I let it thin out some of the Brotherhood before making a dash for the mini-nuke launcher, but I underestimated the Behemoth's sneak skill. After waiting 24 hours, the Brotherhood had forgiven me, so I offered them a truce. Together we fought our way to GNR, together we battled the Behemoth, and together I collateraled a whole bunch of Brotherhood with a fat man. I met up with Free Dog, but he didn't know anything about Brian Mills. In fact, I don't think he'd even seen Taken. With no leads on where Liam Neeson was, I wandered my way downriver, freeing a Wasteland captive from their imprisonment, before stopping by Dukov's place for a chat. He said The Grey was a boring film. I told him he was wrong and it was one of Neeson's best performances. Further down the river, I met a homeless man living under a bridge, right next to a perfectly stable abandoned building, so I killed him for being stupid. As I continued my search down the Potomac, I came across the mutant-infested Jefferson Memorial, where much to my amazement, I stumbled across some recordings made by none other than my father, Oscar Schindler.
My work on Project Purity never really stopped. Soon after we arrived, I did some digging and discovered Braun's name on the reservation list for a Vault 112. I'm off to Vault 112 to search for anything of Braun's that might help me get this purifier up and...
I cleared out the remaining abominations and headed for Vault 112. Other than some outcasts near Vault 101, the trip to Smith Casey's garage was pretty uneventful. I made my way into Vault 112 and deactivated the Robo-Brain. I climbed into the pod and entered the Tranquility Lane PSVR experience. Inside the simulation, I tried to attack the admin Betty, but I got IP banned for griefing. Using a VPN and hopping back into the sim, I decided to play by the rules and help Betty. First I had to make Timmy cry, which was easy because he's afraid of ghosts. Next I had to kill Mabel Henderson. While I was busy turning her house into a Saw film set, an old lady snuck up on me. But my suspicions were right, and she turned out to be a witch. At some point during the witch hunt, Mabel slipped on the stairs and died. Mr. Handy didn't believe in witches, and thought I'd murdered that poor woman. So I caved his chassis in with my 10-year-old strength. My final task was to kill everyone while dressed as a clown. How humiliating. But I did it anyway.
Oh, God.
With the last of the residents bereft of life, Braun let Liam and I out of the simulation. I was finally reunited with Neeson, but I found my old habits put a strain on our relationship.
I brought you into this world. I think you know the rest.
Eager to bond with my dad, I took him to a local mutant hunting ground. Nothing says father-son bonding like molten mutant and crimes against humanity. We then headed for Rivet City. I gave the guards a warm welcome, and then entered the science lab where I met this bloke called Armitage the Immortal.
Again, last warning.
Damn, it's a fight!
Armitage was proving to be quite the annoyance, so I lured him into the museum and tried to cask of Amontillado his ass. I found this didn't work since Armitage is able to phase through solid matter and no barrier could stop him. I tried to lose him further in the ship, and eventually ended up at the market, where I decided to browse some of the hot deals, and steal a bunch of drugs. Back at the science lab, Armitage was still out for blood, so I used the tried and tested method of going somewhere and waiting for a day. It's easy to get lost in Rivet City, but luckily I'd left a trail back to the lab, where I stole all the fruit and veg I could carry and continued the main quest. Liam wanted to find a Geck for his gecko cloning project or something. I said I could help, but only if I received 3 human sacrifices. Naturally, he obliged. With the blood price paid, I searched a nearby ship pipe for the geckos. But instead I found helicopters full of stormtroopers. I guess the government disapproves of our grassroots gecko cloning operation. I fought my way back to the control room, and it looked like Qui-Gon was in trouble with the cops, so like a good son, I got out of there before the police could ID me. Dr. Madison had the same idea, but she left all the Enclave killing to me. At the far end of the sewer, the Brotherhood of Steel tried to ambush me, but I was too fast on the draw for them. As I emerged from the sewers, the rest of the Brotherhood tried to get revenge, but I still had a few tricks up my sleeve. Madison and I took refuge with the Brotherhood. They talked about stuff that was probably important, but I didn't care. I just wanted my power armor training.
The capital Wasteland proved a cruel, inhospitable place, and the lone wanderer ultimately surrendered to the vices that had claimed so many others. Selfishness, greed, cruelty. These were the values that guided a lost soul through countless trials and triumphs.
I swear, these kids could... Now look, to wear power armor, first thing you need to do is relax your muscles. Let the suit do the work, okay? Now you.
Paladin Gunny was helpful in teaching me how to dress myself, so I donned my new power armor, and helped train some of the initiates with a live fire exercise. While I was raining death upon the Brotherhood, Gunny tried sneaking up on me, but he was gunny thick, and the clap of his power armor gave him away. I continued the firing drills inside the Citadel, and was not surprised when they pushed my shit in. So I tried again, but this time I lured them outside, where they completely forgot that bunching up was a bad idea when grenades are a thing. Back inside, I got cornered by Lion's Pride, but my ultimate MLG strafing strat proved too much for them. Low on ammo and medicine, I raided the Brotherhood's pantry, and tried to hide from the immortal members of the Pride.
Here! Stand as one!
While trying to leave the Citadel, I found out that all the gate guards were also essential, so I just made a break for it. They gave me a parting gift of a broken leg, but at least I still had my life. Broken and beaten, a kind old lady took me in to help me recover from my wounds before I limped off back to Super Duper Mart for some supplies. It must have been Black Friday or something, because the Great Unwashed were inside the shop fighting me for the last bargain supplies they had left. I slept on a mattress covered in unspecified meats and returned to the Citadel to continue the quest, where I caught Rothschild and Lyons in their forbidden love. Despite being their enemy, Rothschild helped me find a Geck on the condition that I kept their love a secret. He pointed me to his computer, which had all the information I needed to find a gecko. With the location revealed, I once again set out into the wastes. Outside Smith Casey's, some more outcasts were having a barbecue, but I wasn't invited, so I crashed the party. A Wastelander came running up to me. Fearing for my life, I quickly dispatched the potential assailant. She must have been part of the Cobra unit, since she exploded upon death. I made my way to Little Lamplight to find the entrance to Vault 87, but the little shit at the door wouldn't let me in. I also couldn't equip my weapons for some reason, so I decided to help free some of his friends from slavers. This was probably the one good deed my character has done, and it made me sick. I arrived at Paradise Falls and sniped the gate guard, before gunning my way through the rest of the slavers. Paradise Falls was easier than I'd remembered, but I was just happy not to be fighting people wearing power armor for once. I politely explained to Eulogy Jones how human trafficking was immoral. I think I changed his mind.
You like?
Clover soon showed up and challenged me to a duel. She was an admirable opponent, but I don't think her dress provided quite as much protection as my power armor did, so it wasn't quite a fair fight. I got a swanky hat as a prize for winning the duel, and headed back outside to free the slaves.
Where?
After mopping up the last of the guards, I gave the adult slaves a chance to escape, but they couldn't run faster than bullets.
Oh jeez, Mungo, this is crazy!
I freed Penny and declared the slave trade in the wastes officially over, before heading back to Lamplight. McCready finally let me enter, which was a mistake on his part. Fortunately for him, you can't kill children in this game.
Crazy Mungo! Sorry.
But Sticky here wasn't a kid. I watched as the younglings ran in fear, and it reminded me of my own childhood. Ah, good times. Considering all the merchants I'd met up to this point had mysteriously died, and since Nick Nat couldn't be killed, I used this opportunity to get him to fix some of my gear, before heading to Murder Pass. Murder Pass did its job wonderfully, that job being to rinse me of all my good ammo before the end of the game. I also fell for the oldest trick in the book, the old grenade on the pressure plate trap. But it was nothing that irradiated bear meat and 4 bottles of vodka couldn't fix. I entered Vault 87 and found that the Rebar Club was seriously overpowered. Not that I was expecting a chunk of concrete and steel to tickle my opponents. Fighting my way through the test labs, I found Fox, a talking mutant trapped in one of the cells. I melted a couple of mutants to get to the fire alarm, which would open the cell doors. It seems like a major security flaw in the vault's design, but whatever. With Fox now free, I had no choice but to shoot him. My weapon seemed to do nothing though, so before he killed me I enabled God mode just to see if he could actually be killed, as I wasn't prepared to replay half an hour of unsaved progress for a joke. Several thousand assault rifle rounds did next to nothing, so I tried the missile launcher, and as you can tell by the lag, I was more likely to kill my CPU before Fox died. After all that, I only managed to cripple one of his legs. Not willing to wait for his slow ass, I fought my way to the Geck alone, drugged myself up with anti-radiation meds, and retrieved the Geck myself. On my way back out, Fox got his revenge. He flashbanged me and turned me over to the Enclave.
Work, soldier. Make sure the Geck is secured aboard my vertibird.
I'd been captured by Colonel Autumn. But President Eden must have been a fan of my work, since he let me out of my cell and asked me to come see him in his office. As I fought through the Raven Rock bunker, I was quite anxious to meet the man behind the Enclave. Maybe I could convince him to let me clone geckos in peace. Upon finally meeting with Eden, turned out he was a computer. He wanted me to inject the FEV virus into geckos to turn them into mutant killing machines. I loved this idea, so I agreed to do it before activating his self-destruct sequence and stealing the idea for myself.
My self-destruct sequence initialized.
I escaped Raven Rock, mopped up the stragglers, and watched the fireworks.
Sadly, when selected by the sinister president to be his instrument of annihilation, the Wanderer agreed. Humanity would be preserved, but only in its purest form. The waters of life flowed at last, but the virus contained within soon eradicated all those deemed unworthy of salvation. The capital Wasteland, despite its progress, became a graveyard.
Back at the Citadel, what remained of the Brotherhood were preparing to fight the Enclave. Sarah Lyons gave a rousing speech to one person, and Liberty Prime was launched. I tried one last time to kill the gate guard, but they were still immortal. I killed what Brotherhood I could, but Liberty Prime disapproved. The robot also got stuck, as is tradition. Any number of things can cause this, but I suspect this time it was caused by most of the Lion's pride being very dead. I was able to fix him with console commands, and he was finally able to lead the charge back to the memorial. I found some Hellfire armour along the way that went really well with Eulogy Jones's hat. The robot broke through the barrier, and all the Enclave in the world couldn't stop me in Prime. We finished them off and re-entered Project Geckity. The Enclave were dug in pretty deep, but Sentinel Lyons and I, despite our differences, made a pretty good team. We fought our way to the control room. Time to finish this once and for all.
You again.
Well, that takes care of that.
The Gecko lab was secured. but there was a problem.
To release the pressure, you're going to have to turn the purifier on. Do you understand me? It has to be turned on now. I won't forget what you've done here. No one will. Thank you.
I injected the FEV into the incubator. And activated Project Geck, completing Liam Neeson's work and introducing killer geckos to the Wasteland before finally succumbing to the radiation.
So ends the story of the Lone Wanderer, who stepped through the great door of Vault 101 and into the annals of legend. But the tale of humanity will never come to a close, for the struggle of survival is a war without end. And war never changes.
The Enclave has retreated. We have a location that isn't going to help at all.
Wake the fuck up, samurai. We have a city to burn.
What the hell? The whole place, it's gone. It was you. You did this. You goddamn murderer. You've killed them all. Kill this traitor. Kill him.
Marvelous. Well, what did you think? And where'd he go? It wasn't that bad.